"Ay, my auntie!" The yellow dog had hated her, perhaps, even meant to kill her, but Omachias hadn't counted on such a cruel and sudden end to the dog's cowardly life. Old Tallow's justice was harsh. Her sentence was carried out in an instant, but that didn't mean that her heart was hard or that she didn't mourn for her friend. It just meant that Omachias was more important. The last that Omachias saw of the yellow dog, he was bundled in old Tallow's arms. The strong old woman was walking away, and in her step there was the sadness of parting with an old but dangerously foolish friend. Omachias got slowly to her feet, wobbled forward, and knew that she would have to return to the cabin. She still wasn't strong enough to hunt for food. With Ondig's encouragement, she made it back to the door and fell through, her vision darkening. Her stomach creaked, so empty it stuck to the back of her body. She needed Grandma's help to dress the bites that throbbed and stung. They must have food. They must have food. Soon they must eat, she knew, or they would all lie in the ground with the two who had gone before. It was the great buck, One Horn, who saved them, who gave them his life. Grandma woke 2 mornings later and called Day to her side to talk, for she was so weak from hunger she could only sit wrapped in her blanket by the fire. "I dreamed last night," she told him, "and now you must do everything just as I say." Day listened intently. "Take the small path to the north that leads past the fish camp," said Grandma, gesturing slowly. She squinted, looked deeper into her dream, nodded slowly. "When you come to the tallest of trees, go toward the lake, then around the rocks and back into the trees. There, the buck will wait for you." Day knew when Grandma dreamed, especially in this extremity, it was a true dream and must be followed. First, however, he prepared himself carefully to meet the animal's spirit. He washed, put on his best clothing, new moccasins, and had Mamma comb and braid his hair. He cleaned and oiled his new gun and prepared it with care, extra care. Then he went immediately out and followed Grandma's directions exactly. Just as she had said, in the clearing past the rocks and back in the trees, One Horn was waiting. The great buck stood still in the calm light. Day lifted his gun, breathed his hopes, then thanks. One shot. The shot went true. One Horn died easily, right then. Day gave tobacco to the deer's spirit and thanked him, brought back as much as he could carry, then buried the rest of the deer in snow. Returning, he gave the venison to his starving family and to Tallow, who shared it out, to Auntie Muskrat, to the Lepotres, hungry children, and to Fishtail. That night, as Omachias ate the stew of venison that Mamma cooked, she felt herself grow stronger with each bite. She remembered the day she and Angeline stood before the beauty of One Horn. They had looked on him amazed, and he did not run away. Had he known at that time that they would need his very existence? Again, Omachias remembered the proud, soft radiance of his brown eyes. She closed her eyes and saw One Horn feasted, honored, and decorated with her grandmother's finest beadwork. Opening her eyes again, she thanked the animal for saving her life. And then, just as she finished thinking this solemn thought, Pinch, whose belly was full, backed up too close to the hearth and set the seat of his pants on fire. "Mamma!" He jumped away, a little flame shooting from his rear. In sudden inspiration, he sat down directly in the water bucket. Everybody looked at him, at first in shock, and then once he was seen to have suffered no harm, it was Mamma, first of all, who started to laugh. And Pinch laughed too, laughed so hard that he wedged his behind farther into the bucket and could not get out. Laughed and laughed, harder and harder, even after the terrible winter, as though he understood from then on how important it was to be funny. Pinch gave laughter to them all. He became a joker, a trick player, and joked on himself as well as others. Perhaps it was that first saving laugh, the best thing any of them had heard since before the death of Niwo, that made him proud. He had saved his family, in a way every bit as much as One Horn. The great deer had saved their bodies, and Pinch's absurd jump had saved their souls. For Nokomis said, shortly after that her own grandmother had believed that the soul of the Anishinabeg is made of laughter. If there was no laughter, the soul dies. Pinch brought laughter back to life. He brought their souls back into their bodies. The harder they laughed, the more they knew now they would survive.